This is that ice cold, that Michelle Pfeiffer, that wife gold, white gold. There we go. You know what I mean. Good morning, Kyle. How are you? Fabulous, tremendous, wonderful, awesome. Kenneth, shalom. We have a lot to talk about today, people. We're going to do not only the threat matrix, because it's we all gonna die Wednesday, which is, you know, our favorite. Isn't that right, Ricky? That's right, Ricky. Daniel, good morning. Shalom, brother. So not only are we going to do the threat matrix this morning, we are going to have a good talk. I hope it's a good talk about insurgency and counterinsurgency. And we're going to look at the lines of effort, the 7 lines of effort for battling an insurgency, aka counterinsurgency. Free Spirit, good morning. Deborah, Ronald, John, Chad, good morning, Chad. Ashley Storms, good morning. Patriot Plumber, shalom, brother. Holding the rents, that's right, because you're a plumber. Listen, my faucet's leaking. Just drive a couple thousand miles, come fix it, okay? Okay. Marlo, good morning. Full whiteboard, yeah, and we haven't even started yet. So we're actually going to jump right into it because I don't want this to be unnecessarily long. Y'all are awesome. Bless y'all. Love y'all. Shalom and good morning, Bear Nation. We're doing the threat matrix today. Shada. Vanna, can I get a vowel? All right. And like I said, counterinsurgency lines of effort. So let's go ahead and move this over here to El Bordo del Huayto, which, you know, you guys know I'm the Oso Independiente. I have all the best Espanol, right? It's tremendoso. So, good morning, Recoil. So, here's the deal. Let's just start working through the report. How exiting. So exiting. Rob the Sparky. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Doug, Ashley, Cody, Paul. Bless y'all. Thank y'all for being here. You boys and girls and children of all ages are tremendous. I really do appreciate you. I really, really do. 92,000 of you need CAT scans or MRIs or something. There's something wrong in your brain. I don't know what it is, but I appreciate you for being here. Thank you for being just the right type of mentally off kilter to hang out here. Y'all are awesome. 100K by 4-day. That's our big push right now. We're trying to get to 100,000 subs by the 4th of July without compromising our morals and our ethics, because we wouldn't do that. But we would humbly ask you that if you've seen some kind of benefit from what we do here and you're not currently subscribed, to please subscribe and click the little bell. That way that YouTube can pretend to notify you. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. Thank you, Homestead Hopeful. That way, YouTube can pretend to give you a notification when I come live. By the way, I post every one of these every morning on Patreon. So when we do this live stream, I post it on Patreon, and this report posts the night before on Patreon. So that gives you a little bit of time to absorb it or whatever. Do what you do with it. But if you're worried about not receiving the YouTube notifications, I post it every morning on Patreon. Intel at bearindependent.com is where you can send your intel, because that's where it goes. That's where this report is compiled from, is the intel that you send in. So intel at bearindependent.com. What goes there? Intel and praise for the dance monkeys, the intel staff at bearindependent.com. What doesn't go there is all the other blah, blah, blahs. And as we've discussed before, intel is what? Independently verifiable and actionable. Some rumor that your cousin's brother's uncle heard one time in the barracks in 1984 from a guy is not intel, okay? That's rumor at best. So, all right, let's do this thing. The number of COVID cases worldwide continues to climb. Bear Intel report 10 June 2020 overview. COVID cases continue to climb as they would do. Global cases, 7,274,000 with 3,280,000 active cases. Global deaths are 411,000. Global recoveries are 3,496,000. U.S. cases are 2,039,000, with 1,149,000 of these being active. U.S. deaths are 113,945. Again, the number of deaths currently, Dad and Bo's Toy Show, bless you, is frankly, and not taking anything away, those who have died from COVID, not all that worrisome. Honestly, not all that worrisome. This is not the great global pandemic that we were promised by the mainstream media. Why? Because they're a bunch of liars and a-holes. U.S. recoveries are 776,262. Let me get my, damn it, I threw it on the floor. If only I had not one, but two Kydex holsters for dry erase markers. I do. I'm just not wearing them. I know, one day, but today's not that day. You go right there, stay. All right. Marker in hand. Positive cases of coronavirus are increasing rapidly. This is me editorializing for a moment. Meh. This will be used, I believe, to clamp down even further on the American people in the nearish future, 2 to 4 weeks. Good news, I'm not playing that game. The hypocrisy is on display. I don't care at this point. You don't get to tell me that I can't go to work, I can't go to church, that I can't feed my family and live my life the way I see fit because of the potential threat of spreading the virus, which will come to the World Health Organization here in a moment. But it's totally okay for people to go riot in the streets and get up in each other's faces, and not spread the virus. Thank you, Mookie Nuku Organics. I can't pronounce your name, but thank you. I appreciate you. All right. So, coronavirus. This is both economic collapse, system, and food shortage because it will contribute to that. Protests and riots continue. Officer injuries continue to increase, and several have been fired and arrested in various instances related to the unrest. Black and white people have been killed by rioters. Stores continue to be looted. Buildings continue to be smashed and burned regardless of who owns them or who depends on them for work. I don't think it's going to take much of a stretch here to say that this is civil unrest. And I'm going to put a check mark in both civilians and the system at this point. And we'll come to why the system is responsible in part for this when we do this later in the brief. So stay tuned for that. According to Politico, quote, the police-free schools movement is picking up steam, end quote, after the majority of Denver school boards showed support for removing police from schools by the end of 2020. And the California Teachers Union leaders have also called for police removal. Y'all aren't that smart, are you? Senator Ted Cruz responded with, quote, this idiotic proposal would tragically result in more school shootings, end quote. Do you even civil unrest? This is .gov, and we'll add the system because schools and system go hand in hand. More civil unrest. Democrats in Congress have proposed a bill that would make several changes, including banning chokeholds and creating a national database of excessive force incidents. You know, on the surface, it doesn't sound like a bad idea. However, the phrase Democrats in Congress is not the type of phrase that endears me to all type of warm, fuzzy feelings of trustworthiness and belief in their cause. Frankly, I hate those scumbags, and I in no way believe that they would actually do what they say they are going to do. And I also really don't like the banning of excessive force incidents, because what determines an excessive force incident? This is more undermining of the police. We'll see that later in the brief. This is also the .gov contributing to civil unrest. Monuments continue to be destroyed and defaced across the nation, and in some cases abroad, overseas. Civilians acting like a-holes. Many rioters are being released and charges against them dropped. This is happening in multiple areas. Most recently, D.C., Fort Worth, and Pittsburgh. Well, Texas would never stand for that. Fort Worth and Pittsburgh. Texas, I love you, and I get to say this because I've had family in Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas for the last 200 years. My great-granddaddy was the last U.S. Marshal of the Oklahoma Territory. Come at me, bro. Texas is not as Texas as it thinks it is anymore. And y'all really need to watch yourselves. There's a reason, thank you, ducks, I don't live in North Texas anymore. And it's because it's not Texas there anymore. And if you continue to allow things like that to happen in Texas, it won't be Texas anymore. And I get the argument all the time. Well, Barry, you should have stayed and made it what it needed to be instead of just leaving like a coward. Well, listen, buddy. It was untenable for me to stay there. I have a video on this. When your property taxes are $8,000 a year on a third of an acre, or $500 a year on 20 plus acres, which would you rather have? When a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, fallen down contraption of a home that should probably be bulldozed is valued at $70,000 more than 20 plus acres with 2 houses and 3 creeks and 3 wells and a barn and then another barn and all these other things, which would you rather have? And when your children are deriving their self-worth from their peers who are deriving their self-worth based upon how much their shoes cost and what type of iPhone that 3rd grader has, I'm not interested in that. And when drivers are driving like this and run over 2 kids on my street in 1 week, both of which have to be care flighted, one of them makes it and one of them doesn't, I'm out. Judge me all you want. I'm out. I'm not staying and playing that game. Texas is not as Texas as it thinks it is, and it needs to be careful. Y'all stay and fix it. Now, multiple rioters being released. This is civil unrest on the .gov for show and the system, because guess who's funding all this? They have incredibly deep pockets and they're highly coordinated. We have been proving this over and over and over again. They have incredibly deep pockets and they are highly coordinated. 2 or more eyewitness accounts repeating. Due to civil unrest, many stores are closing and or reducing hours, and roads and public transit systems are closing at least temporarily. This will affect delivery! Additionally, many sellers are removing guns, ammo, knives, bows, arrows, and even BB guns from their shelves. One manager has said that they are still available upon request. However, this policy may vary by vendor. What's going on here? This is actually an indicator of, once again, the system and civil unrest, but also the system and food shortage, because these logistical issues are going to continue to contribute to that. Repeating, animal processing appears to be slowly returning to normal after the steep drop experienced earlier in this year. Remember, the inventory is low though. The inventory is still low. The processing capability may be coming up, but the inventory is still low. It takes time to grow animals to be harvested so that they can put on a little styrofoam thing with a diaper pad underneath it, saran wrapped, and then put in your local, Happy Mart or wherever you buy meat from. So this is a food shortage indicator on the system. Tailored Brands, the parent company of both Men's Warehouse and Joseph A. Bank, may be filing for bankruptcy. JCPenney is shutting down 154 stores after bankruptcy, and Pier 1 is liquidating its stores and shutting down permanently this year. That's 3 major corporations. Economic crisis. We're going to go with 1, 2, 3 right there. 7 Sigma Inc., a manufacturing company that has been in Minneapolis since 1987, is now leaving the city due to the loss of faith in the city's leaders and the uncertainty of the future there. That's economic crisis on the hands of the .gov and the civilians contributing to that. legal, political, and military. A Michigan judge has ordered the state to cease attempting to hold the 77-year-old barber who reopened in contempt. You think? Good job, Judge. Civil unrest indicator on the .gov. Maine is opening for tourism, kind of. If you're a resident of New Hampshire or Vermont, come on in. Otherwise, either quarantine yourself for 2 weeks or prove you tested negative for the coronavirus. In fact, you may be asked to show proof of this wherever you stay. This goes into effect 1 July. That's definitely going to be an economic crisis indicator. It's also a bit of a tyranny indicator. Over 1,000 business owners have filed a class action lawsuit against Maine's governor due to the 14-day quarantine requirement wreaking havoc on their businesses. Maine's tourism industry is a major business for the state and its people. Boom. And boom. Previously, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, whatever that dude, was booed out of a protest when he refused to commit to defunding the police, and has now said again that he does not support abolishing the city's police force after a veto-proof majority of the city council members said they are pushing for that reality. Good. Good for you, Minneapolis Mayor. Here's the issue. A veto-proof majority of city council members has said that they are pushing for the defunding of the police. Now that, to a logical, conservative-minded, liberty-minded individual, doesn't make sense. It's not supposed to make sense to you because you are not the insurgency. We'll get to that in a moment. However, this here is yet again another indicator of civil unrest by the .gov being pushed by civilians. Societal in general, repeating, according to a health tracking poll, a quarter of Americans say they have skipped meals, visited a food bank, or have applied for or received SNAP benefits since February. Food shortage indicator, anybody? .gov. Civilians. Repeating, the World Health Organization is now saying that asymptomatic spread of the coronavirus is, quote, very rare. Bear is saying that, quote, pound sand World Health Organization, end quote. These people get no grace from me. The whole world got shut down because of their disinformation. One could say, and they might very well be right, that the whole world got shut down because people, certain people, the reptilian overlords, wanted it shut down. And the World Health Organization was part of the disinformation machine that allowed for the support of that from the sheeple. So this is a huge disinformation indicator, and this is definitely the system. I'm also going to say that this is an example of Rome burning because it's an institution that should have honesty, should have integrity, should have a responsibility to the people that it represents, and it does not. And it has not. And clearly, the more light you shine on this, the more you can see that they were operating with an agenda other than providing accurate information to the people that they represent, the people that fund them, the people that they serve. I'll plug my phone up because I totally forgot to do that, and I don't want this live stream to cancel itself out of the blue. Moving on. The Floyd family lawyer, wants the United Nations to intervene in the case, encouraging the U.S. to press federal charges and to recommend reforms. Boy, I have to be really careful what I say here. First of all, this is the system and others colluding for civil unrest. Second of all, somebody asked me last night, what I thought about, what did I think about the United Nations invading or coming here to enact their will on the American populace. And I really don't have any clearly formed thoughts on the subject. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I'll be right back. Anyway. Come on, blue helmets. Come on, let's do this thing. Societal in general. Repeating. According to a health tracking poll, a quarter of Americans say they have skipped meals. I already talked to you about that. A police officer was rammed into a barricade with an SUV outside of a police department in Springfield, Missouri. The 28-year-old driver had been told to leave, urinated on the station's door handles on his way out, ignored orders to stop, crushed an officer against the barricade, and then did not comply again with orders to get out of his vehicle. He was shot, handcuffed, and sent to the hospital. Do you even civil unrest pro? By the way, as a brief aside, probably justified, you think, at this point, for a law enforcement officer to present his weapon and shoot the guy? I'm just going to say, where's the bar on this one? At what point do we go, I mean, he did piss on the handles of the police station and then crush an officer with his vehicle. I guess we could shoot him now. Ugh. And the fact that there's a part of me that feels compelled to clarify that statement kind of based upon race of the people who were involved in this incident, of which, to be clear, I have no idea what the races were, pisses me off because it shouldn't matter, because we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal and endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I don't care what color you are. I do not care. Assholes are assholes, and good people are good people, and I don't care what color you are. I do not care. If you are my brother or my sister, you are my brother or my sister. If you are not, and you do not conduct yourselves as such, you are my enemy, and I don't have a gray area. Okay, cool. Intel at bearindependent.com is where all your intel goes, because that's the intel email at intel@bearindependent.com. Hey, Bear, where do I send my intel? Intel at bearindependent.com. How many A's are in the word independent? 0. That's exactly right. Good job, Bear Nation. BEAR independent.com. Intel at. That's where the intel goes. You can also say thanks to the dance monkeys there for doing such an awesome job. The HDMIC, you can say, hey, good job, head dance monkey in charge of wrangling all those little spider monkeys in those cold, dark, wet iron cages. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. BearIndependent.com. All the things are there. What things? All of those things. Stomp bags. Recently, and serious for a moment, got some really good feedback on the stomp bag from somebody who purchased one, who essentially said, he said, man, this thing is an awesome value, and it's a hospital on your back. And he said, I was part of a LERP team in Vietnam, and if we had had these things back then, there'd still be people that I served with who would be alive today. Man, that kind of broke my heart. It just kind of broke my heart. But I'm glad. Thank you, sir, for your feedback. Thank you for letting us know that you value the product. That's what they're designed to be, is a hospital on your back. And yeah, they're expensive. I'll be the first one to tell you they're expensive. But they're not the most expensive stomp bag out there, and they have 2 to 3 times as much in them as every other competitor on the market. So I'm glad. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your review of the product. We greatly appreciate you. Stomp bags are there. Blowout kits are there. You guys are familiar, at least you should be, with the blowout kit. This is the active shooter response kit. Also, you can get the Bear Fac, Bare Minimum. I could see OD green bare minimum laying on the floor right there. That's we're expanding our operations. We're running out of flat space, so right now we're stacking orders on the floor. Praise the Most High. Good job, Bear Nation. We appreciate your support. So, get a lot of questions about Bear. What size kit should I get for my plate carrier or my chest rig? I run the bare minimum on my plate carrier. It's the minimum of what I want to treat a gunshot wound, and that's what it is. That's why I made it. In fact, here, I'll just come over here real quick. Just real quick. Just the super quickest. This is the insert in the bare minimum. You guys have seen, you've seen the outers, right? Like, here's a Marpat bare fac, super cool. Hand stitched, made in America, the best ever, guaranteed forever, right? This is the insert of the bare minimum. Got your combat gauze up here, which is available as an additional, but you can put whatever you want up here. C-locks, rolled gauze, C-locks, rolled gauze, SWAT tee, compressed gauze, Curlix, whatever you, combat gauze, whatever you prefer, right? Pop this open, and then you've got, this is the minimum kit. And this minimum kit is A, more than the United States military issues, and B, better than any other kit at the market for $100 less than a whole bunch of Chinesian bullcrap that's sold to you by some rebranded marketer somewhere calling it a trauma kit. These were purpose-built from the ground up with input from Special Forces medics. They're actively saving lives around the world. They're forward deployed on 4 continents right now. They're really freaking cool, okay? So, surgical tape, 6-inch emergency trauma dressing, legit North American Rescue decompression needle, nitrile gloves, Gen 7 cat tourniquet, and then down here in the bottom, you have what you call your stack. 7 1/4 inch North American Rescue EMT shears, nasal pharyngeal airway, 2 5x9 gauze pads right here, 2 of them, not 1 but 2. I like 1 to prep the area before I apply a chest seal, and a second one if I need to make an additional pressure dressing or if I need a piece of gauze. And then not 1 but 2, not, yeah, see, there's 2 of them here. Not compact, but full size, high-fin chest seals. That's the bare minimum kit. And highly recommended. That's what I carry on my plate carrier. I designed it to be the kit I wanted on my plate carrier. And we have tweaked it and tweaked it and tweaked it. That's the Gen 2.5 right there. And it's awesome. So you can get those at bearindependent.com. Also, we need to talk about, just for a moment, HR 4568. Which is once again, the proposed legislation to restrict the sale of body armor on the civilian market. Now, there is a grandfather clause, meaning that if you already have it, allegedly, they're not going to come take it from you. But anything level 3+ or above, which essentially means the ability to stop intermediate rifle cartridges, 5.56, 7.62 by 39, 5.45, carbine rounds, anything that can stop that or above, can't buy it anymore. Guns and Gadgets has a good video on this. He has lots of good videos, but he has a good video on that. And so HR 4568 is the bill that could potentially restrict body armor. With everything going on in the world right now, I mean, guys, how many civil unrest indicators do we need today? With everything going on in the world right now, having something in between you and bullets flying is a good idea. If, and this is important, if you've paid your bills and you're paying your debt and there's food in your pantry and there's food growing in your backyard and you have some money left over, bearindependent.com for blowout kits, adventurefrontier.com, adventurefrontier.com for armor. You can use promo code BEARNATION, get you $10 off your armor, and they have some really good packages there. For example, if you're a bear-sized man like I am, the Condor MOPC, Modular Operators Plate Carrier, is a good, high-quality, high-value plate carrier. I've been running mine for over 4 years. No issues with it. And it fits big fellas like myself. $240 including plates. That's a hell of a deal. And $10 off with promo code BearNation. Awesome. And if you're a little bit more of a skinny mini or a lady, they have kits for you as well that you can get at adventurefrontier.com. They're awesome brothers. They're personal friends of mine, and they believe in honesty and integrity. They're a really good small business, and they're members of the Bear Nation. So if you need body armor, if you're concerned about HR 4568, please check out adventurefrontier.com. Thank you. All right, we need to hydrate. What do you think, Bear Nation? Is it time to hydrate? It's totally time to hydrate. You know it's time to hydrate. Why? Why do we let these people dupe and screw us? Lower price than Spartan armor. That's right. Drink water. All right, Willie. Corey, bless you. Todd Master Boney, shalom, brother. Holy cow. Woohoo! I think it will, White Fox. I think it will. Overall living, shalom, brother. Good morning. Man, it's like a family reunion up in here. I miss you guys. Or you could just learn jujitsu. That's right. You could get body armor or learn jujitsu, one or the other. Man, I love y'all, Bear Nation. Good morning, Winter Bulls. Jump on the drums. Man, you guys, you're always with the drums. Always with the drums, man. All right. All right. Now I feel like I need more coffee. I watered down all the caffeine in my system. Single accounts, insider intel, and miscellaneous. Multiple cases of unemployment fraud have been occurring in Oklahoma. Come on, Okies, what's going on here? Get your heads out of your asses and act like adults. That's ridiculous. Oklahoma, economic crisis on the civilians. Why? Cyber invoice fraud is on the rise. Yay. State troopers in North Carolina and police officers in Florida have been told to have their family members remove stickers on cars or photos on Facebook that show relation to law enforcement. A police officer's wife's car has already been set on fire. In Florida, some officers' families have left their homes in Florida. Lone Wood, bless you. Good morning, Sister Renee. So this is an indicator, two indicators, because we're talking North Carolina and Florida here, of more, drum roll please, civil unrest. It's also indicative of this insurgency, which we're going to talk about in a moment. So just hang with me here. Y'all wanted to do We All Gonna Die Wednesday, and here we are doing the threat matrix on We All Gonna Die Wednesday. And you know what? Spoiler alert, we are all gonna die. My prayer is that it's not tomorrow. But even if they turn you into some kind of human head on a cyborg body, sooner or later you're gonna die. It's gonna happen. I hate to burst your bubble, bro. It's gonna happen. You know what I'm talking about. It's gonna happen. International, repeating, the protests, air quote, protests, have spread internationally. England, Germany, France, Spain, Denmark, Italy, Syria, Brazil, Mexico, Ireland, New Zealand, Canada, Poland, and Australia. Johnny Ringo, bless you, thank you. I'm your Huckleberry, by the way. I'm your Huckleberry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So if we were to count each one of those countries as a single indicator of civil unrest, we could just add, we'll just make this 15 over here. Huh, I wonder what the threat matrix is going to look like today. Could be interesting. However, because for this to be applicable to you, this here is not going to directly impact your life. It's more like one single account Sage of the Fire, good morning. Bless you. Thank you. A top wheat-producing province in China has had a poor summer yield. Another layer to the piled reports around the globe of agricultural struggles. Locusts sweeping in from Africa to India. Food shortage. China, Africa, India. Poor rice production. Millions of animals gassed, shot, or buried alive globally due to the shutdown of the supply chain. Abnormal freezes and rains in select areas. Wiping out fruit blossoms and young plants. All of these individual factors will affect the future of food prices and availability. Repeat, it's very easy to get your blinders on and be most concerned about this civil unrest. And there's a lot of it right there. Rich, bless you. Thank you. However, I honestly pray that you never have to press a trigger in anger, but I guarantee you, you will have to eat. Be careful with the blinders. Keep stacking food to the rafters. Keep planting food. I am still stockpiling food. Still. These are just the birth pains, y'all. We're just beginning. We're just getting started. And if we're wrong, we're wrong. Guess what? We got a whole bunch of food. Cool. No big deal. If we're not wrong, guess what? We're not starving to death. We're not subjected to the powers that be that will control the food resource so that they can bend you to their will. I'm not playing that game. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Both India and China have mobilized troops in the Ladakh, India, in Ladakh. Sorry, words. India mobilized enough troops to match China's 5,000 that were recently deployed there. So this is a war indicator. Yay, China and India. Wonderful. Debunking misinformation. Got an entire sheet here, and I'm going to cruise. Again, the entirety of this report is on Patreon. The BBC reporting that an officer threw herself from a horse. That'd be disinformation. And we're just going to say the system there. You have the viral video of police in an alley with a black van full of bricks. Turns out they were picking them up, not putting them there. Disinformation. Footage of bricks and rocks that have been spread, with authors alleging that the materials were planned to be used in protest. Upon investigation, some of that footage and some of those photos were taken before George Floyd even died. Other materials were actually construction materials. And that's on civilians as well right there. Pallets of bricks planted before protests appear to be manufactured by Acme Brick. Some viewers have reported unmarked vehicles with no DOT numbers transporting bricks. Others said they have seen video of unmarked trucks without plates delivering the bricks. We've not seen that. If you have that, send it to us. I'd like to see it. The mainstream media reported that a path was cleared for Trump's photo op using tear gas. The day after the alleged event, the United States Park Police acting chief said in a statement that no tear gas was used to hold back protesters, some of whom were violent, at Lafayette Park before the president's arrival. Yeah. Thanks, mainstream media. All right. So now we're going to get into actionable. So before we get into actionable, let's tally the board. 6, 16, 5, 6, 11, 5, 11, 16, 18. Wait a minute, that is not 16. That's 11. 3, 2, 7, 1. Other than the fact that Rome is literally on fire, we could add 100 to the Rome burning because that's how many cities have experienced violent protests in the last week. So there's an indicator for you. That's legitimately Rome is burning right now. All right, and then we've got, let's see, 7, 8, 2, 5, 8, 13, 18, 19, 4, 10, 13, 4, 9, 11. All right, so based upon this, largest threats as of today, snapshot in time, 10 June 2020, we could easily say that this could be civil unrest because of civilians in the system. This is a 19. Civil unrest because of civilians in the system. And so what do you need to be thinking on today, planning for, preparing for today? How does civil unrest because of the system and civilians interacting with the system affect you? The next closest threats here are an equal tie between economic crisis and food shortage. And so yet again, economic crisis, food shortage, and civil unrest. Man, these are the big three we've been tracking forever. As long as this channel has existed, this is what we've been talking about. Economic crisis, food shortage, and civil unrest. These are your main issues, the main things that you need to be prepared for. And who are the key players in this? Civilians, the American populace, and the system. That's not surprising. So what you really need to be thinking on is, how do I put myself in a position where economic crisis doesn't directly affect me, to be independent of that broken system? How do I put myself in a situation where I'm not dependent upon that busted system to eat? Food shortage is the quintessential thing here. No food, you die. The end. The end. No food, your baby girl dies. No food, grandma dies. No food, your friends die. Your pastor dies. Your neighborhood dies. Straight up. Take it seriously. It's literally life and death. No food, you die. And then civil unrest. No security, you potentially die. These are all major, major issues. And so where you are, snapshot in time right now, what can you do to actually deal with this? Well, if you're brand new here, welcome. We have an entire playlist called the Prepper Classroom that goes through all of this on whiteboards laid out from the very first, I'm new to prepping, what is prepping, to really advanced level stuff. Try to break it down Barney style, put it into bite-sized pieces so that you can follow along, take notes, do whatever you've got to do, refer back to that video as a body of work. That's why it exists, the Prepper Classroom playlist. We have 180 some videos here and a playlist called Instructional. Bear, how do I put food in buckets? It's there. Bear, how do I set up a plate carrier? It's there. How much ammunition do I need? It's there. It's all there. Please refer back to those things and share them out to people that need it. But the point here is not to be disabled by fear. The way that we deal with anxiety is through action. And so now that we've identified the threat, we know what the threat looks like. Economic crisis, food shortage, and civil unrest perpetrated by civilians and the system. How do you deal with that? The really good news is basic preparedness handles all of this. Food doesn't care if you broke a leg and can't work for 6 months, or if you got laid off, or if a tornado hits your town, or if there's rioting in the next town over. Food doesn't care. It's just there. You can eat it regardless of the situation. Water storage and water filtration doesn't care. Security doesn't care what the exacerbating circumstances are. Communications infrastructure doesn't care. It's all there. It's all there. It doesn't matter the specificity of the situation that causes you to employ the material goods that you've stockpiled. What matters is that they exist so that you can respond to myriad different potential scenarios like this. And so, do the things, Bear Nation. Do the things. All right, we've got a whole list of actionable and silver linings, but before we get back to actionable, we're going to go ahead and briefly discuss insurgency and counterinsurgency. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, and I know that that's going to be difficult for a lot of y'all to see, so if you want to take a screenshot, now's your time to take a screenshot. Same thing with the threat matrix. If you want to take a screenshot of the threat matrix, there's the threat matrix. Go ahead, take a screenshot. Okay? Now, our operating premise, our thesis here is that Antifa, Black Lives Matter, and their counterparts are a domestic insurgency which is being supported by deep state bad actors. Repeat. Antifa, BLM, et al. Are a domestic insurgency which is being supported by deep state bad actors. That's our working premise. That's our thesis. It's not my job to prove that or disprove that to you. That's the thesis we're working from. By the way, as a brief aside, and we're going to talk about this in a moment too. That's right. SanctifiedSupplyCo.com. Waking the giant. All right, and yes, for those who are new, this is me. Let me prove it to you. See? Don't laugh at me, Renee. Don't laugh at me, Renee. Oh, and my wife wants you to buy the Goats and Hose t-shirt at the website. That's why that note is there, bearindependent.com. All right, counterinsurgency lines of effort. My wife runs the bear store. Did y'all know that? Now you know that. That's her job. She's good at it. Ruach HaKodesh, Holy Spirit. I started working on this morning at about 5 a.m. A video posts by Pastor Joe Fox at Viking Preparedness on his Patreon page, which if you're not there, you should be. It's $1 a month. Holy cow. You waste $1 a day easily. It's $1 a month. So PJF, Pastor Joe Fox, Viking Preparedness, releases a video this morning, 10 June, on Antifa and how they are an insurgency here in the United States. And so he and I had a little back and forth this morning. I've been working on the same thing. Yeah. In the mouths of two or three is everything established. That's straight up Torah, straight up biblical. Okay, so Antifa was founded in 1934-ish, has communist roots, deep communist roots. And if we're working on our premise here that Antifa, BLM, et al. Are a domestic insurgency supported by deep state bad actors, let's say we are the counterinsurgency. And you can use that we however you would like to. What are the 7 lines of effort of a counterinsurgency? Well, let's go over this line by line by line. Let's see if I can get you even closer. Okay. Excuse the handwriting. It's the best that I got. Counterinsurgency lines of effort. The first is we need to establish civil security. That's us. We are the intervening party. Establish civil security. The next is we need to support the host nation security forces. That's the locals. Who do we partner with in this AO, this area of operations, so that we can continue to provide civil security? Support host nation security forces. The next is you have to support the local governance. Who are the people that we are going to back so that they will affect our will in this environment? The next is you have to establish civil control through governance and security. Then you have to restore essential services. And these things can all be done. There's not necessarily a prioritization here, although establishing security is at the top of the list. Because when you establish security, that allows you to do all of these other things. Okay? But in no particular order, although they're all equally important. If we made progress on this one, before we made progress on this one, that'd be okay. Because restoring essential services is essential. That's why they're called essential services. This is water, electricity, sewer services, commerce, logistics, transportation, okay? Restore essential services. Support economic and infrastructure development, okay? That means bringing commerce to an area, building up common spaces, supporting economically the governance, banking, things of this nature, okay? And conducting information engagement and management. The flow of information. Make no mistake, the flow of information is controlled. And that flow of information is diverted based upon the will of, we'll just say, the governance and the people who are supporting the governance. Okay? So if we were to be fighting a counterinsurgency, which the United States military has a lot of experience at this point. These are the 7 lines of effort that we would take. Again, brief recap: counterinsurgency lines of effort. Establish civil security. That's us. Support the host nation security forces. That's the locals. Provide support to governance. Establish civil control. Restore essential services. Support economic and infrastructure development, and conduct information engagement. Now, let me show you something. Let's say that you are the insurgent. You're for lack of a better term, the bad guys. Or you're the good guys, you're the freedom fighters, and we're gonna go fight the system, man. What do? Okay, well, rather than establishing civil security, one could form, I don't know, nationwide, global, militant protests and or riots, because that undermines civil security. How many people feel secure in these cities that are burning around the world right now? My guess is not many. So that undermines civil security as the insurgent. Rather than supporting the host nation security forces, you could be crying from the rooftops to defund the police, undermining the authority of the police. What host nation security forces? There are none. We're going to defund the police. Maybe we'll come up with community policing programs that allow us, rather than having one standard across the board, to have myriad different standards that may or may not reflect the communities that are actually being policed, but will certainly reflect the agenda of the people who are policing them. Rather than supporting the local governance, you could infiltrate governance. Put your own people within that system. We've been seeing a lot of that over the last several years. Rather than establishing civil control, you would undermine civil control, undermine elected officials. One word for you. One word. Trump. Undermine elected officials and incite civil unrest. Do I need to explain incite civil unrest? Guys, we just did it over here in the threat matrix. That is the #1 issue today, 10 June 2020. You could incite civil unrest. Rather than restoring essential services, you could quarantine the entire nation, shut down commerce, and tell hundreds, we'll say millions, tens of millions, maybe 100 million people who are all employed by or operate their own businesses, sorry, bro, you can't go to work. You're non-essential. So rather than restoring essential services, you would interrupt essential services. And over here, you've got quarantine as an example of that. Rather than supporting economic development and infrastructure development, you could destroy Main Street and small businesses. Remember, these people are communists. They like big companies. They don't like small companies. They like the collective. They don't like individuals. So you could, I don't know, smash out windows of storefronts, flip over police cars, set things on fire, rob people, destroy merchandise, create a whole bunch of insurance claims for people like me that would ultimately destroy their existence. As a brief aside, you're not destroying my existence. Not only am I not going to let you do that, but let's just say, Yah forbid, that my place burnt to the ground. Oh, guess what? That's already happened once. We'll get over it, and we will press on, and we will move forward. Because we have the intestinal fortitude to do that. But if you were the insurgent, you would, for example, undermine economic and infrastructure development. How do you do that? One way is to destroy small businesses, to destroy Main Street, to set large swaths of Main Street on fire. And then conduct information engagement. How about conduct misinformation and disinformation engagement through the mainstream media and social media? Now this is not the be-all, end-all. What this is an example. This is an example of the things to look for that as we move forward in time here in these United States of America, this, see this? This is coming. And many people have already said, Bear, what is war going to look like on American soil? What is war going to look like if we go to war with China? I would submit you may already be seeing it. You may already be experiencing it. And again, Pastor Joe Fox, Viking Preparedness, his Patreon video this morning, and I got goosies when I was watching it because, like I said, I was working on this independent of that video this morning, which is not the first time that things like that have happened between he and I. Stated very clearly that y'all, we, us, have got our OODA loop jacked up. OODA, observe, orient, decide, act. Many of us have observed that this stuff is happening, but we haven't oriented on it. We're not pointing our eyes and ears and efforts in that direction to actually decide what to do and then act on it. We're seeing these things, but we're not responding to these things. And so now, hopefully, this equips you a little bit better to see what could be going on here, what I believe is going on here, an insurgency. If you were the insurgent, here are just some ways, just some examples of what one could do to undermine civil security, to undermine the host nation security forces, the locals. This is your regulars, people in uniforms with badges, okay? To undermine governance, to remove civil control, to interrupt essential services, to undermine support for economic and infrastructure development, and to conduct disinformation engagement. It's classic. It's classic. These are not new tactics. They've been around for a long time. My hope is by illustrating them here for you that you can see these things, that this sticks in your brain, and that will allow things like this to be more actionable for you. Does that make sense, Bear Nation? Let me turn the chat on for a minute. Does this make sense? Yes, sir. Philip Smith, thank you. Yes. Okay. All the sense. Patriot Plumber, bless you. I know you know these things. Appreciate you, brother. Cool. Yep, got it. Roger that. Gonna watch again. Cool. If you would like, I can try to go deeper into this in a standalone video. Is that something that you think we should do? Standalone video? Yes? Okay. Deeper. Roger. Okay. Bless y'all. I appreciate you, boys and girls. All right, let's jump into actionable. We're already pushing an hour on this report. I need more water. The people have spoken. Granny Puckett, shalom, Granny. Granny Puckett's cool. Water. I'm gonna have to pee after this. I always do. Now you know, Bear Nation. A little behind the scenes. I always pee after one of these. Isn't that right, ladies? Isn't that right? They don't care. They don't care. You know what? Look at them. They're just over here. Just like, blah, 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 la, 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 la. You don't even get a wave, honey? Not even a wave? Oh, see? They don't care. They're like, he's over there ranting at his whiteboards again with his iPhone. I don't know who he thinks he is. Yeah. All right. Actionable. In larger population centers, militia are an outnumbered distraction. In smaller towns, however, it has been seen over and over that when local armed peacekeepers and patriots line the streets, trouble does not get out of hand. Are you and your neighbors organized? Thank you, Rich. and prepared for rioters targeting your area? Mine are. Are you in communication with your sheriff's department as a group? Do the things. As Sister Kate, Shofar Mountain, likes to say, don't start no stuff, won't be no stuff. There have been instances of impersonation during these protests and riots. Pay attention to who is who. New Firearms transaction record has all of your data on the front page. Make sure nobody's taking pics of your info. So forth and so on. The rest of this is on Patreon. Silver linings. One contributor is a member of the Alsea Valley Gleaners, which has been serving the community by gathering or gleaning and distributing food and firewood to the less fortunate since 1993. They've been working out of sheds and garages until recently. A man will now be giving them a long-term use of nearly 1,000 square feet of one of his buildings with use of a commercial kitchen. That's awesome. This long-term security will make it much easier to receive grant funding for the construction of the distribution and processing facility. They are forming a co-op to connect consumers with local farmers. You just don't understand, Bear. It's so hard. They are forming a co-op to connect consumers with local farmers to help mitigate the supply chain disruptions that are occurring. Quote, this news is in addition to the fact that the DeBizzle flu nonsense has prompted grantors to send our way nearly $40,000 in the past 3 months for, quote, food security and sanitation. Awesome. We know there are a lot of folks hurting because of our government's heavy-handed response to the plandemic, and we pray for them. However, our organization has never been in a better position to help those in need, end quote. That is awesome. See, it's when you step out in faith to serve the Father's kingdom, you get what you need to get the job done. Pandemic, whatever, there's still work to do. We're trying to plan 2 missions right now. In the midst of all of this. Bear, why do you look so tired and stressed? Gee, I don't know. I got no good answer for you. A massage therapist that moved prior to the pandemic has been connecting with folks in her area that have sciatic pain and nerve damage, a specialty of hers. Quote, by the Father's name, a few are no longer needing pain meds and are on maintenance therapy. Praise the Father. That is awesome. Good work. Another one, quote, at first, you and your videos used to scare me. Sorry? I had to pray for the spirit of fear to leave my body and accept things to come and have more faith in our God. I'm from the city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 6 years ago, I moved me and the fiance to a more rural area of Pennsylvania. I built a relationship with several of my neighbors and old coworkers who hunt, fish, shoot, etc. Me, being a black male in a rural area was scary at first, but I see that good country people are not at all racist, as the media says, and view me as an equal. Little do they know I'm preparing for them and myself when things go south. Good job, brother. That's awesome, and thank you for the input. In the last year, a couple has lived in a home with no running water, no electricity, and only one part-time income. They lost several babies before they even took their first breath. Bless you. They are now moving to a property that has a water source, and they have a year's worth of food that they built up despite very challenging circumstances. Quote, I want everyone to know, no matter the heartache and hard times, the Heavenly Father is there. He loves you and looks forward to your success. He wants you to live free and love others. End quote. Bless you. That is awesome. I'm sorry for your loss. I understand. I understand. Notes. You can find local resources and like-minded groups at bearindependent.com on the forums. And if you're that Asian person who's continuously spamming our forums, what do they want? What are they trying to sell us? Tires or something? Gaming? Oh, off-track, Vietnamese off-track betting. None of us are Vietnamese that I know of, and I'm pretty sure we're not interested. Thanks, though. Thanks. You can find Prepper Classroom digital downloads, Bear Facts, and other emergency supplies at the online store at bearindependent.com. Grindstone Ministries is currently looking for an attorney and a grant writer. If you are one, not no one, if you are one, please email us. Where do you want that email? Grindstoneadmin at ProtonMail. Grindstoneadmin at ProtonMail. To support Grindstone Ministries, you can drink a cup of coffee at disastercoffee.com, or you can get dressed with sanctifiedsupplyco.com. You could get yourself a very cool, now shipping, Waking the Giant t-shirt. And you could use code USA for $5 USA, USA, for $5 off of that t-shirt. And you can use promo code BEAR for 10% off of any order. Also, like that, see right there? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, unless it's a bear, because we'll kill you. Or you can pre-order a canned ham radio from Amendment 1 Preparedness, Amendment1 Preparedness.com. Raffle tickets will cease to be sold at the store sundown this Friday, which means you got about 2.5 more days. Right? What's today? Wednesday? Oh, it's We All Gonna Die Wednesday. You got 48 hours, people. You got 48 hours to get more tickets. And then that's it. The drawing will be 30 June. Is that correct? Yep. 30 June on Tactical Tuesday live stream. We will draw the winner, and $5 raffle ticket goes to support Grindstone Ministries. 100% of the proceeds go towards actually achieving our goals. All the operational expenses for Grindstone are covered out of my wallet, and a handful of you who send in checks every month, and we love you for it. You guys are awesome. Bless y'all. You can check out grindstoneministries.com if you want to donate. You can get the raffle tickets at bearindependent.com in the store. And the raffle is massive. It's massive. It's a custom bushcraft knife, a custom chest rig, a blowout kit, all a multicam 72-hour bag, 25-watt ham radio package, a swag bag from Sanctified Supply Co., lots of coffee from Disaster Coffee, Hero Soap, Bread for War t-shirts, Bears patches and stickers and other swag, and I don't remember what else. I literally can't keep track of everything that's in it. I put it all in this bag because I got tired of trying to like keep it all in a pile. So it's like, I'm just gonna put it in that bag. So there you go. And with that, a couple of more notes. Again, Pastor Joe Fox, Patreon, $1 a month, highly recommended. Another resource if you're looking at how to put these things together, Forward Observer, YouTube channel, Forward Observer, also forwardobserver.com. Sam Culper, good dude, worth checking out if you're unaware. Shout out to the patrons, y'all rock. Could not, would not do this without you. Let's talk to our creator. It's that time of day. Good morning, Father Yah. Thank you for the opportunity to do this. Thank you for clarity and shining light on all these things that are going on around the world right now, Father. Thank you for telling us in Matthew 24 to not be troubled, because I fear that without that reminder, we would be troubled. Thank you for loving us, even though that we are not always the greatest at loving you back. I am honored that I get to do this every day, and I thank you for the opportunity to do it. Thank you for my team. Thank you for everybody within the sound of my voice. Thank you for the Bear Nation. Father, I pray that you'd fill us up, that you'd just be indwelt in us today. If there's anything that comes against us that's not of you, we rebuke it in the name of Yeshua, command it to flee. And that your Ruach HaKodesh, your Holy Spirit, would be indwelt in us, that we would be the light, that people would see us and want some of what we've got. That in times of chaos, we could be a rock to others. We could help lift people up, introduce them to you, bring them closer to you, and experience the abundance of your provision and blessing in the doing of. Thank you. That's it. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. In Yeshua's name, amen. Bless y'all. Have an awesome day, Bear Nation. Thanks for being here. I got to go. Shalom.